What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best new metal show from two guys who are really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious CIM, Tim. How's it going?
Great. Feeling great.
All right. So what are we talking about this week, everybody? Well, Tim and I have done some deep dives into some record labels. This week, we're going to deep dive into a tour. And the tour specifically we're going to talk about is Sounds of the Underground. We did a very on, I think, Tim, it was year one, we did an Ozzfest deep dive where we went through all the bands over the years. We're doing something a little bit different because this is decidedly not new metal, but new metal had something to do with this tour coming about. So first question I'm going to ask you, Tim, did you go to any of these?
I don't think so. No, not that I can remember.
They played some weird, so, we're in the Philadelphia market. They played some weird venues. So the first year they did Festival Pier. I was at that one. The second and third years, they did the East Center in Camden, right, where we just saw Pantera, but the lawn was closed off.
It didn't sell enough.
So they had the lawn closed off, and it was general admission in the seats, and then you had to get a wristband to go into the pit area in front of the stage.
I've never seen that happen before there.
I saw. Well, I thought. Well, now that I think about it, I thought it was because of the winter. It was in January or February. I saw A Perfect Circle there many years ago, and they actually had it closed in. So there's like a barrier that they could deploy across the back. For those of you that don't know the East Center, it's like the Tweeter Center up in Boston. It's one of those big sheds, outdoor arenas where there's a lawn all the way behind.
Wait, now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I did see a show like that, but it was still seating that you paid for. It was Manson Slayer I seen there. And it was like that, and it was closed off, but it wasn't GA where you get to sit wherever you want it.
No, the articles I read, this was GA.
Wow.
So Tim, let's go into the story behind where this tour came from, right? So 2005, Ozzfest is still going on. Ozzfest is still going on. Tattoo the Earth came and went. Shout out to Scott. He gave it his go, but it just the world was conspiring against him. So the first year this tour actually toured, and there was only 3 years, it was 2005. And when I did some digging, I came to learn that it came out of a conversation between Paul Conroy, who worked at Ferret Records. I think he was a VP at Ferret. We just did an episode on Ferret, so if you don't know what Ferret is and the amazing bands that they had, go back and listen to that one. Pause. We'll wait. And this guy by the name of Tim Barr from Face the Music, and they were a tour booking agent. And the remark that Paul made was something along the lines of, all of our bands are screwed this summer. That was what started the conversation. All of our bands are screwed. And when they started discussing why, the acknowledgement was made that a lot of these bands were too heavy for the Warped Tour. People forget the Warped Tour went 25 years. Bands like Killswitch played the Warped Tour, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, Finch, Black Dahlia Murder, right? Everybody's played the Warped Tour, but they were too heavy for the Warped Tour. And at this point, Ozzfest instituted the policy where you could only play every other year. Let's take a moment, Tim. Does that policy actually make sense?
Not at all, because if a band is selling tickets to the event, why not have them again?
Right. Slipknot goes from second stage blowing up out of nowhere to playing the main stage. Like, why wouldn't you? And that was back-to-back years. Why wouldn't you let them do that?
Or maybe it was because of the buy-on or something, maybe?
Maybe Sharon was worried about how much money she could actually get, because for those of you that don't know, to play Ozzfest after the first couple of years, I think it was after 99 or whatever, bands had to buy on to that tour. So it was no longer curated by Ozzy and Sharon and the other bands. It was the headliners were asked, but the second stage bands all bought on, which is why you got some of those weirder lineups. And so this one in particular, when we did the Ozzfest episode, we talked about Ozzfest 2004 is when I'm convinced that this is when the world changes, right? Because that was the first year that metalcore was all over Ozzfest. That was Devil Driver. That was Every Time I Die. That was Throwdown.
Unearth.
That was Unearth. That was Chimera. That was, I want to say it was maybe Poison the Well. It was all the bands. No, Poison the Well never played Ozzfest, but it was all the bands that were just part of that new hardcore-ish, metalcore-ish resurgence. They just played the year before. That means in 2005, where were they going to go? So let's put that aside for a second. Nowadays, Tim, they would just go to Europe, right?
Yeah.
They would just go to Europe, tour the whole continent, and play festival, and then come back. But now, back then, you had bands which were, and when we go through this 2005 lineup, there are people listening and be like, "Yo, what, are you fucking kidding me? This was a tour." It was huge. And you know what? I'm gonna hold 1 second, Tim. Fill the air. I'm gonna grab my ticket stub because I want to see how much I actually paid to go to this thing. Hold on.
You want me to fill the air? Oh, okay. I at first I was like, the hell is he talking about? Yeah, the lineup on here as I'm looking at it is fucking ridiculous. It's especially for 2005.
So
this actually looks like a tour that you would see. What the hell is that other tour called that was go around this time?
It was the other metal tour, right?
Was it Gigantour?
Gigantour was around, and there was, what was the one? It was like Metal something or other. Hatebreed played it a couple times. It was a summer tour. It was the spinoff of, I think it was the spinoff of what Ash was doing with Summer Slaughter, I think.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
There was a Mayhem tour, right? Mayhem Rock Tour. What was that called?
I was thinking of Summer Slaughter.
Or maybe it was Summer Slaughter. Okay, so I'm looking, Tim. Tickets to this general admission was $28 with an $8.50 surcharge.
That's not bad at all.
And it started at 12 p.m. And that becomes important later when we go through all these bands and you're like, man, how could you see all these bands in one day? Yeah. Okay, so we just lost you, Tim.
My video going?
No, I got you, but you got mood lighting, kind of dark.
Yeah, I don't know. My light just went off. Keep going. I'll fix it.
No worries. So the two things you have a bunch of guys you have two guys talking, saying, look, our bands are getting screwed. They're on our labels. We're supporting them. They're starting to break big. They're starting to blow up. And yet they have no demonstrable summer tour in the United States. And back then, again, Europe isn't a thing. So the labels got together with some sponsors, and they organized this thing, which I actually think is really kind of cool and impressive that they all work together. So the organizing labels, the labels that contributed to this: Ferret from New Jersey, Prosthetic, Trustkill, Metal Blade. So those are four well-known, they're not Sony, BMG, Universal, Warner, but these are four well-known metal and hardcore labels, right? Ferret, Trustkill alone, that's Josh, and that's Carl Severson. And then you have Brian Slagle at Metal Blade. I don't know who runs Prosthetic. They all get together like, all right, we're putting together a tour for our bands. And then they worked with a whole bunch of sponsors. So 2005, who do you think the number one sponsor is for this type of tour, Tim?
Like Monster Energy or some shit?
Not Monster, but think 2005. What was the equivalent of Monster in 2005? I'll give you a hint. Mall Goths.
Red Bull?
No, Hot Topic.
I thought. Oh, okay. I'm sitting there thinking of like a energy drink.
No. I should have been specific. Not an energy drink. So Hot Topic.
Makes sense.
Pure Volume, which we all remember. Revolver Magazine.
Yep.
Good move for them. And Music Choice. The Music Choice channels that are on Comcast, which, by the way,
that makes super amount of sense now.
What?
Because back then, Music Choice always had like bands like this on there, like the metal channel.
Yep. Dude, when I used to put on the TV in the background, when I had people over drinking, I would put Music Choice, the metal channel.
Fuck yeah.
And it was on loop. It was Andrew WK's Party Hard. It was Lost Prophets, Shinobi vs. Dragon Ninja. It was Crossbreed. It was a whole bunch of that stuff.
Dying.
Yeah. Shout out to Music Choice. But I think, Tim, we should probably take a minute and think about the brilliance of everybody working together to collab to say, hey, we're going to put together a show. And I believe that first year there was something like 20 dates or something like that. It was fairly expansive. But I have some funny stories about this. So let's go through the lineup, right? So we've got Ferret, Prosthetic, Trustkill, Metal Blade. So if you're familiar with the history, if you're familiar with the bands that were big at that time, you kind of know where this is going. And then you have your sponsors. So the main stage, the headlining the show, Lamb of God. So this is after As the Palaces Burn. No, this is after Ashes the Wake. I didn't stay for Lamb of God. I left before they played. Because the show started at 12 o'clock and they went straight through, no breaks. So I was beat. And it was outside on a pier in the sun. But Lamb of God was the headliner. Then we had Clutch, which dude, Elephant Riders, the first couple albums, Shogun named Marcus, they make some good music. It's just you got to be into that groove stuff. If you're not into it, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah, all my friends love that band. I cannot stand them.
So we have Clutch, we have Lamb of God, Poison the Well, right? So this is after You Come Before You. So this is right when they're hitting their quasi mainstream success years. I remember them being fantastic. Opeth, I don't remember Opeth playing, so maybe they didn't show up. But then again, this was how many fucking years ago? 20,
Great band.
Almost 30 years, 20 years ago. From Autumn to Ashes. And this is back when they still had two singers, I think. Unearth. Boring. Boring. And Chimera. So on
that's excluding Clutch, that's a great fucking main stage right there.
Yes, and when I saw it in Philly, it was one giant stage. So the main stage bands had the whole stage. The second stage bands did the back and forth, did the bounce. Okay. The dividing between the second stage transition and the main stage was the band who played the middle of the day headliner every year, Gwar. So they were like the lunchtime happy hour band, and that was my first time seeing Gwar. Man, it was a fucking experience. Like I'm in the back just watching, going, what is happening right now? Like with the giant monster that comes out and eats Reagan, and then they talk about all hair Bernard Ratzinger, the Nazi Pope, and they bring him out and they cut him open and they pull his entrails out and they're throwing him out into the audience. And it was insane. And if I think everyone in their life should see Gwar just once, just to understand. Like it is a true full-on show, and the music is god awful. Sorry, not sorry.
Some of it's okay.
Yeah, but you're going for the spectacle. You're not going for the musicality.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Gwar does the transition. And then the second stage bands, Norma Jean, although this is after Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child. This is the word that started with that album where they had the words strung together in every song title, and I wasn't a fan.
Yeah. What the hell is that called? Oh God, I hope I don't sneeze.
What was that? Oh man, now you're gonna make me look it up. Norma Jean, and somebody's yelling at their head unit right now. Oh God, the Aftermath.
Yeah.
With Vertebrae, Tarantula, Coffin Spire.
We might have to pause.
Absentimental, Scientifiction, Disconnecti. Like, I mean, you were committed to the bit at this point, right?
Yeah,
they were committed to the bit. I remember just listening to them. I wasn't even watching. I was sitting down. I found a shady spot to sit down. I'm like, oh God, get these guys on the stage. So you have Norma Jean. You have Every Time I Die. Bless You. This is after Gutter Phenomenon. 2 more, 3 more. You almost done? But this is basically everybody that played Ozzfest the year before. So look at the second stage. Norma Jean. Every Time I Die. Throwdown. Strapping Young Lad.
Oh, yeah.
High on Fire. All That Remains. Devil Driver. And A Life Once Lost.
Bless me. Thank you.
So that right there. You grab any 3 of those bands these days, that would be a hell of a show. And this was absolutely all on the second stage. And then this is where I think the tour really gets interesting. And I wish more tours had some balls to do this sort of stuff. They had. All right, and we're back. We're back. All right. So we were just talking about the second stage is basically the Ozzfest second stage touring the next summer. Norma Jean, Every Time I Die, Throwdown, Strapping Young Lad, High on Fire, All That Remains, Devil Driver, Philly's Own, A Life Once Lost. Right. So that is basically the entire. You know what, Tim? While we're doing it, let me look it up. So this is Ozzfest 2004 lineup.
Oh, to see what bands from this were.
Yes. Let's see who played Ozzfest 2004. So we have, drum roll, please. Slipknot, Hatebreed, Lamb of God, Atreyu, Bleed, Every Time I Die, Unearth, God Forbid, Devil Driver, Throwdown. Yeah, so these were basically all the bands that played at Ozzfest last year. They didn't have another chance to do it again. Yep. They needed a tour. but where we were talking, I think where we left off is this is where this tour got interesting, which is I think I would like to see. I would love as a fan more tours to do this, where they had certain bands jump on certain dates or certain areas of the country depending upon where they were located. So, for example, the show that I saw in Philadelphia, I got to see Full Blown Chaos because they played the Massachusetts date and the Philly date, which, by the way, Within the Grasp of Titans is an awesome fucking album. And I'm still mad at Rob, my buddy Lil Bobby, because I wanted to go see, it was Full Blown Chaos touring off of that and Remembering Never touring off of God Save Us, a co-headliner. They played the church and I couldn't find it. He wouldn't go with me because he was out of the area. So, and this is before I started going to shows solo. Still pissed I missed that show because if you put in Within the Grasp of Titans right now, I will grab this camera and just smash it off my face till I start bleeding. It's an awesome album. But anyway,
it's heavy as fuck. Yeah.
Heavy as all get out. So we have Full Blown Chaos in Massachusetts and Philly. You have Madball playing all the East Coast states. And then you have Terror playing the West Coast states. You have Fear Before the March of Flames playing the Midwest and the South. Not a fan, but do your thing. Himza played the West Coast. I also got to see the Red Chord from Boston. They played the East Coast. Nora played the Massachusetts state. And then the Black Dahlia Murder played Detroit. So they had a lineup. They had a main stage, a second stage, the transition band of Gwar. And then they had other local bands because Black Dahlia played in Detroit makes sense. Full Blown Chaos playing Mass and Philly makes sense. Red Chord playing East Coast makes sense. They had what amounts to local and regional acts hopping on the tour as it came through. I wonder if you could build a tour. It's probably logistically a nightmare. We should get a tour booker on to see if this is possible. If you could book a tour for the summer where you have a tour name and you have maybe 2 to 4 acts that do the entire run, but then you just pull regionally and locally for certain chunks. I think it would depend upon the routing, but Tim, do you think that would work?
I think these days, yeah, you could do that because there's so many fucking bands. I think it's possible because back then music was prevalent, but it's not as prevalent. It's not as prevalent these days with the sheer amount of bands there is.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think it's definitely possible, but I think what would happen is you wouldn't have the names as big as you did on here.
No, not even close.
Like you would go out west, it'd be like Dying Wish or like,
yeah. Like you'd have Boundaries in the Northeast.
Yeah,
you'd have Escuela Grind somewhere along the way. You'd have one of the Texas bands, either Frozen Soul or Judiciary or Tribal Gaze. They'd be picking up the South. You'd have somebody from Florida, but it's doable, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely doable. You just don't have the popular band that's jumping on, I think.
Right.
But it could definitely work.
So I went that first year. It was awesome. I was exhausted. It started at 12 o'clock. I think I left at had to be 10 p.m. when Lamb of God was getting ready to go on. I kicked myself for not staying because Lamb of God's one of those bands that still put on a great show. But at that point, dude, I did almost a 10-hour day outside on a pier in the sun.
And the thing is, you're going to see Lamb of God 2 weeks later. They're just going to come back through Philly, so it doesn't really matter.
Yep. All right, so let's go to the second year, 2006. So the organizers, again, Metal Blade, Trustkill, Prosthetic, Ferret. They also had House of Blues came on before House of Blues became a giant, Live Nation partner, and Eulogy Records. The sponsors were Music Choice again, Hot Topic again, Revolver, and The Syndicate, which was a management and booking agent. Somewhere, I think they were from New Jersey. Doc Coyle interviewed one of the guys from The Syndicate. It was a great listen.
Oh, okay.
So, Tim, Ferret, Metal Blade, Trustkill, Prosthetic, Eulogy. What bands do you think are going to be on this show? And this is 2006.
Without looking at the list, keep my eyes up here because I actually did not look at it. Definitely has to be Trivium.
Yep.
2006.
So you're in the right vein, right? This is where metalcore is really becoming ascendant. So who else, Tim?
Killswitch, maybe?
One date in Massachusetts, but yeah, they played it.
So they didn't tour, though, so I won't count
They didn't tour
it.
I'll give you a hint. Tim Lambesis.
Oh, As I Lay Dying. Okay.
As I Lay Dying. So this is metalcore is truly ascendant. So we've got As I Lay Dying. You've got In Flames, which I think is off of Come Clarity, I think.
Ooh, okay.
Trivium, the rare super super heavy band, Cannibal Corpse.
Oh wow. Okay.
Guar once again playing the middle of the day transition band. Terror again. Black Dahlia Murder on the full tour. Behemoth. So this is when Behemoth is starting to get big. Through the Eyes of the Dead.
What was Behemoth on back then? What was
Wait a minute, I can tell you. That was
yeah, what label were they on back then?
I can tell you what album it was. Hold on, it was I'll know the name when I see it. It was off of
It's the Apostasy.
Demigod.
Oh wow, Demigod. That's a fucking amazing record.
Yeah, so that came out in 2004. That was on.
Was that Metal Blade?
Century Media.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I don't remember you saying Century Media.
Well, and again, it wasn't just those bands. Like
okay.
But those were the bands that were coordinating to put the tour together. They were the ones organizing it.
Damn, dude. Back then for Demigod, that record is so fucking sick. That must have been a sick show for them because that was before. Because Behemoth these days, like they got a little weird, but their stage show is still crazy. And back then it was even wilder.
Yep. And so then we've got Through the Eyes of the Dead.
Ooh.
Right. So this was early deathcore in 2005. Prosthetic. I remember that EP. Downloaded that EP and being like, "Yo,
yeah, it was sick.
These guys are fucking wild." Yeah. So they toured in 2006 with Sounds of the Underground. So The Chariot. So this is Josh Scoggins' band post Norma Jean prior to 68. And then we had your rotating locals. So Evergreen Terrace picked up the tour in Florida. I think this is with Wolf Mother, maybe, or whatever that album was called.
What, from Evergreen Terrace?
Yeah, what was the name of that album?
Well, they did. They had a weird title on that one. All their records are good.
No, it wasn't Wolf Biker. It was Sincerity is an Easy Disguise in This Business. Is the name of the album.
Is there you have the song titles there?
Yeah, Brave Reality.
Okay.
Dogfight, Give Him the Sleeper, New Friend Request.
Great record.
I Can See My House from Here. Okay, so you have Evergreen Terrace picks up Florida onwards. Killswitch plays the one-off date in Massachusetts. And then you have in two West Coast shows, you have Shadows Fall, It Dies Today, and Still Remains.
Wow.
So again, this is for 2006, this is a monster lineup. And if we go back, I'll bet you we go back and look at Ozfest 2005. Wait a minute, hold on. I should have left this up. Let's look at Ozfest 2005 and see who played. Killswitch, As I Lay Dying, The Black Dahlia Murder, It Dies Today, Trivium, In Flames, Shadows Fall. So they basically were doing this summer, next summer, this summer, next summer, which is, I'm not gonna lie, Tim, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it makes sense. Cool. It keeps the bands on the road for the summer, keeps them making money, gets the label out there, of course.
Yep.
I think it's a great idea, honestly, because it gives Ozfest competition as well.
Yes, and Sounds of the Underground. This tour this year, 2006, they played Sayreville. They played the parking lot of Sayreville, the Starland Ballroom. They actually released an EP, Live and Rare, and it was. Trustkill did it, and it was As I Lay Dying, In Flames. So As I Lay Dying was live. In Flames was a Come Clarity remix. Cannibal Corpse was live. Terror was live. Black Dahlia Murder was live, and Through the Eyes of the Dead was a B-side. So there was some push behind this. There really, really was. So now we get to the final year of this tour, 2007. So I was not able to find anything as to why there was no 2008 Sounds of the Underground. I'm assuming it just ran its course. I'm assuming the other tours were kind of, they were bogarting bands to the point where there weren't enough bands to make a tour viable. Whereas I think, Tim, right now, you and I, with the money we have in our bank accounts, not even our savings accounts, our bank accounts, There are so many bands out there. I guarantee you and I can put together at least 5 dates on the East Coast of a festival. Easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Definitely.
Not of this magnitude, but we can put together a 10-band bill easily.
Absolutely.
So again, Ferret, Metal Blade, Prosthetic, Trustkill. You've got Live Nation at this point buys on as an organizer. You've got the agency group.
There's why there was no 2008.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. You have Tim Barr, the guy who was part of the conversation to start this whole thing from the agency group. He's an organizer, the Syndicate again. And this company called Entertainment Services, which is a booking and touring production company. Then we get to the sponsors. So we have Revolver, we've got Pure Volume, you've got Music Choice. You also have AOL Radio. Your dad was still paying for this up to 6 months ago. Ibanez.
Oh, okay.
Tama,
Nice.
Tama, the drums.
I think it's Tama, yeah.
And last but not least, everybody's favorite, Lamb Goat.
Mm.
Lamb Goat was a sponsor in 2007, which is kind of wild. So this, I didn't break it up into first and second stages, but the lineup. So it was a 4 headliner rotating slot, and it was between Shadows Fall. What album were they touring off of, Tim? In 2007?
2008, 2007.
Yeah.
Ooh, not War Within.
It was the one after that, right? Threads of Life.
That's a fucking great record.
So you have Shadows Fall. You have Every Time I Die.
What is
that?
Damn, I can't. It feels like it was so not long ago, but it was. That was fucking 15 years ago.
Yeah, so this is 2007. So this is this The Big Dirty? Well, The Big Dirty came out in September, so this would be touring off of the album prior, which is Gutter Phenomenon, which is fantastic and terribly underrated. So this Gutter Phenomenon from Every Time I Die. And then we have Chimera. What is Chimera touring off of, Tim, in 2007?
Self-titled?
Let's find out. So, at this point, they were touring off of Resurrection, March of 2007.
I thought Resurrection was after Impossibility, or was that?
Yeah, it was after Impossibility. Yeah,
but Impossibility came out in 2000.
It was Pass Out of Existence, Impossibility Reason, the self-titled, which came out in August 2005, and then Resurrection, which was March 2007.
Right,
so this is them touring off of Resurrection. Okay. And Gwar, again, the only band to play all 3 years. They were the midday swap out headline. Then you had Darkest Hour. You had Job for a Cowboy, right? So the OG deathcore band, right? You had Necro, who was a hip hop artist, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But he's always been metal adjacent, so that made sense.
Yeah, he always had metal stuff in his beats. He still does.
Amon Amarth.
Ugh.
So Viking metal, right? The Acacia Strain.
Oh, yeah.
So what were they torn off of in 2007, Tim? It wasn't 3750, was it?
No, 3750 was like 2004. Was it
what
the
was
Dead
it?
Walk?
It was 2007. It was the Dead Walk. Yeah. Because Continent wasn't until 2008. Okay. Heavy. This is where it gets dicey. The rest of this lineup gets dicey. I'm going to be honest with you. Heavy, low.
Yeah.
What do they sound like?
What do you fucking awful deathcore?
Is the answer you give me. Mathcore?
Number 12 looks like you.
Oh, they're on the show too.
Yeah.
What, Mathcore?
I guess.
I've never heard this band. Is it one of those skronky, like?
Yeah.
Okay, so scene kids with swoop haircuts and white belts. Okay,
exactly.
white belt core. Okay.
Exactly.
So you have, again, we talked about heavy, low. The number 12 looks like you.
Okay.
Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah,
but this is early in their career, so that wasn't that terrible. I think this band is an outlier. Goat Whore.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do they come in at?
I don't know. Yo, if you ever notice how tall that dude is?
The singer?
Yeah, their lead singer. I think it's Ben Falgoose, right? He's got to be like 6'3", 6'4". He's enormous.
They were just on Garza's podcast.
Were they? Do they have something new coming out?
I think they just had something come out. I can't remember.
Let's see here. Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven came out in 2022. Yeah, but Ben Falgoust is he's a ginormous dude. Ginormous dude.
You should pull up that interview and see him. I know he just fucking did it.
It's like sitting 10 feet over the table. So we have Goatwhore, 2 cents, the number 2 cents. Do you remember them?
Who that is? No.
All right, Tim. I didn't look them up before this show, so we're doing some guerrilla podcasting here. It is an American metal band from California.
Probably ex-members of something.
They had an album, Lost at Sea. I'm assuming it's a hardcore punk. I'm assuming. Because they love Pantera, Slayer, Pennywise, Black Flag. Produced by Matt Hyde.
Oh, okay.
All right. And last but not least, This Is Hell, Long Island Zone is the last band on this tour. So arguably, the tour profile changes as the years go on. They go from having a lot of local and regionals to just getting a set lineup. But I will say that they were changing the lineup with the times, going from the heavy metalcore stuff into the, they pick up Trivium, As I Lay Dying the next year. In Flames, Behemoth is an odd choice, but then again, they're coming off Ozfest, Through the Eyes of the Dead. And then the last year, they pick up a whole bunch of, I don't want to insult them by saying weird, but some different stuff. Heavy, low. Yeah.
It's definitely the weakest lineup of all of them. I mean, let's be honest here. Where does Necro fit in at?
Trying something different?
Yeah.
Trying something different. I mean, I think I still don't think in this country we've reached the point where the festivals have the complete insane lineups that Europe does, where they'll have like BB Rexa on one stage, Turnstile on the other, and then Behemoth on the third, and you're like, yo, how do I pick? We have yet to reach that point of diversity yet in our shows. And the one
remember Tsunami Fest? Remember that festival?
East Coast Tsunami Fest, yeah.
They had one year they had Wu-Tang, and next year they had fucking Mobb Deep, like crazy shit.
Well, it makes sense because hip hop is when you compare hardcore metal to hip hop, there is an underground aspect that goes to it, right? Most of the guys that like Jay-Z, Eminem, like the guys that get big, they get big coming from the underground, right? They come out of their local scenes where they're working to establish themselves. So, I mean, not even remotely the same musically, but there's some shared DNA there about the whole DIY attitude and then building it up yourself.
Oh yeah. Fucking handing out tapes and
yep. So
right out of your trunk and all that kind of shit. Yeah, definitely.
So I know we have an audience that can be of the older demographic. I will be it that way. The Ben Gay and Metamucil set, proud card carrying member. If you were at 2006 or 2007, please send us an email, leave us a voicemail, come on the show and talk about it, because I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts were. I think 2005 was a gimme. All those bands had already played Ozfest. All those bands were already established touring acts with pedigrees. I mean, who was the least known band in 2005 that was on the actual touring lineup? I honestly, A Life Once Lost.
You think so?
Well, look, Devil Driver. Everybody knew who they were because of Dez. Maybe All That Remains, because they were at East Coast. That was Phil Labonte, right?
Yeah, but Phil was in Shadows Fall, so true. I don't know.
High on Fire, everybody knew who they were. Everybody knows Devin Townsend, so Strapping Young Lad, Guar, and Throw It Out Every Time I Die, Norma Jean, all Ozfest. So
they're probably A Life Once Lost then, yeah, because you got to remember a great artist came out in 2004.
Was Hunter out at this point, Tim?
It might have been Hunter, because you got to remember they were pretty much just a local Philly band, but they weren't. I mean, they were touring. But yeah, you're probably right. Life Once Lost was probably, yeah, I would agree.
Hunter came out in 2005, June 2005. So right as this tour is going.
When did A Great Artist come out then? 2003? There's no way they put out a record every year.
Yeah, 2003.
Wow. Okay. Shit.
And then Open Your Mouth for the Speechless. I got to go back and listen to that. Jones said no.
Yeah, I remember listening to A Great Artist on my CD fucking man. I was on the way to the shore with some people, and I was like, fuck this. I'm putting this record on.
Dude, I don't know why. I whenever I get in the car, I just play whatever I want. I don't give a shit if you like it or not. That's your problem. It's your problem. I'm driving.
I wasn't driving, so.
Oh, so yeah, they were arguably the least nationally known band on that lineup, but that lineup was killer. And then you're having Madball and Terror, Fear Before the March of Flames, which had their minute, Red Chord on the East Coast. You had, so that means on the East Coast, I was getting all those bands plus the Red Chord, plus Madball, plus Full Blown Chaos. That was a gimme lineup.
Yeah, this is between this one and 2006. I kind of think 2005 might be your best lineup, actually.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's got a whole plethora of like not different genres, but like different sounds. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm, like 2006 is kind of like the fucking. It's kind of like the Euro core sound where it's like,
yeah,
you know, at the gates wannabe bands. You know what I mean?
Yep. So I'm looking here. I'm Googling like why was there no 2008, and the oldest article I can find is on metalunderground.com, where rumors are beginning to circulate that Sounds of the Underground 2008 will not be happening this year due to, among other things, a lack of suitable headliners and a decline in the economy. Well, that makes sense because 2008 was the great financial collapse.
Yeah, it was your crash. Yeah.
So, yeah. Sad.
Yeah, that was when gas was like $5 a gallon, and your fucking
and
mortgage rates fucking plummeted. And
Rockstar, that was the name of the tour.
Oh,
what was that tour? Rockstar Tour 2008. Was it the Rockstar Mayhem Festival? Yes.
Yeah,
Mayhem Festival. There we go. So in 2008.
But wait, before you say that, wasn't Mayhem more of like a heavy rock radio kind of fest?
Well, I'll tell you. Here we go.
Okay.
So, Kevin Lyman, the guy who, that's it. So the guy from the Warped Tour, he created a metal tour to cross over. So in 2008, the main stage bands were Slipknot, Disturbed, Dragon Force, Mastodon. So this is 2008. So now I understand why there's no Sounds of the Underground. The second stage was Machine Head, Airborne, some Australian hard rock band.
Yeah.
Five Finger Death Punch, and Walls of Jericho. The Hot Topic stage, Under Oath, Suicide Silence, 36 Crazy Fists, The Red Chord, and Black Tide.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What is Walls of Jericho? Is a weird one for your main stage. Like they run off that main stage again. That's so weird.
All right, the main stage was Slipknot, Disturbed, Dragon Force, and Mastodon.
And then Walls of Jericho out of nowhere.
So the second stage is Machine Head, Five Finger Death Punch, Walls of Jericho, and Airborne. And then there was a Jägermeister opening band. So at each location, they were having different bands.
Oh, I thought you said Walls of Jericho was on the main stage.
No, the second stage.
I was about to say, that's fucking strange.
Tim, they didn't even play Philly. Well, they did. They played Camden, the Susquehanna Bank Center. Okay, so this was this was in between the Camden Center. Beyond the Scar was the local band. They also played Scranton. Ew. Scranton. Fuck is it Scranton?
Nothing.
All right, so let me see if I can find the Mayhem Festival. Yeah, but yeah, so this is the Mayhem Festival first year.
This was summer, right?
This was summer 2008, July to August, 30 shows. So this was, they couldn't compete, right? Because now you have, I think Ozfest was still going in 2008.
But yes, why couldn't you compete though? Because a lot of the bands you just named, well, back then, Five Finger, Disturbed. Well, Disturbed was pretty big back then.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the financial crisis. In 2008, Ozfest didn't do a tour. They did a 1-day show in California.
Okay.
So this was when because 2007 was the last year they actually toured. And when you look at that lineup, it's like, man, I think it's getting tough out here, people. It's getting tough.
Oh yeah, the last Ozfest lineup, brutal.
Yeah, the last touring Ozfest was Ozzy, Lamb of God, Static X, Lordy,
Ugh.
and Black Tide.
Ugh.
And then second stage was Hatebreed, Behemoth, Devil Driver, Egypt Central, and Mondo Generator. So Nick Oliveri. So Stoner Rock. And then they had a rotating slot on the second stage. Nile, 3 Inches of Blood, Dath in this moment. Not good. Not good. So why is there no Sounds of the Underground? Well, if Sounds of the Underground was started for bands that couldn't play Warped Tour or Ozfest, and the last Ozfest was really kind of, I could see why you wouldn't want to do it again, coupled with the fact that Ozfest is no longer touring, coupled with the down economy, coupled with the fact that now at this point, I don't know what was going on in Europe, but yeah. The Mayhem Festival was Ascendant. So what did they do in 2009?
We got to think too. It's very hard to, what's the word? It's very hard to compete with European festivals, especially summer festivals.
Yeah. Now you wouldn't be able to. I mean, you look at bands like Speed or bands like Cruelty, where they came over here, they play Sound and Fury. This past summer, they play Sound and Fury. They tour the States, and they end at either This Is Hardcore or somewhere else, and then they fly home. Like Cruelty was out with Sanguisugabogg Bog and a bunch of other bands. Speed was just doing, I think they were playing a whole bunch of different shows. You can't compete, right? So let's talk about Mayhem 2009. Manson, Slayer, Mushroomhead, Bullet for My Valentine, Killswitch Engage. And then the second stage is Trivium, All That Remains, and God Forbid. The other second stage, this is kind of wild. Cannibal Corpse, Behemoth, Job for a Cowboy, Black Dahlia Murder, and Whitechapel.
Damn.
So this is 2009. This is like when that shit is really popping off.
Yeah, that's a good second stage, actually.
And Beyond the Scar played again. Jesus. And then 2010 is Korn, Rob Zombie, Lamb of God, Five Finger Death Punch. Second stage A is Atreyu, Normadrine, In This Moment, 3 Inches of Blood, Ozfest. That was like the whole stage. It just moved over. And then the second stage is Hatebreed, Chimera, Shadows Fall, Winds of Plague. Man. So yeah. So now we know why it didn't happen. And this Mayhem Festival, funnily enough, ran from 2008 to 2015.
Wow. And
who was on the last year, Tim? Want to take a guess?
Ooh, that's when it definitely got Radio Rock, didn't it?
No. So Slayer, King Diamond, Hell Yeah, and The Devil Wears Prada was the main stage. The Victory second stage, Whitechapel, Thy Artist Murder, Jungle Rot, underrated band, Sister Sin, Sworn In, Shattered Sun, we're not getting better. Feeder to the Sharks.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Code Orange.
Okay.
And this was the last year that toured. And I remember when that
was
news
still
came out.
Code Orange Kids then.
Yeah, in 2015. Yeah. And I remember when that first came out. I remember seeing the news announcement that they're not continuing it anymore. Too much competition. There was too much competition with some of the other tours, the economy being the way it was. So I guess it makes sense.
It's just funny that you go from Ozfest to Sounds of the Underground, then it's Mayhem. What was after that? Anything? In between that, you had Snowcore.
Yes, I mean Snowcore was late stage new metal. They only went like 3 or 4 years. There
was a lot of like reggae bands, but kind of too like The Urge and shit was on.
Yeah, the one that I went to was, I think it was The Urge, Incubus, System, and Mr. Bungle.
Oh,
which is kind of a wild lineup. So I don't know. I mean, what else do you have tour wise? Then you had like What's the one we were just talking about?
Summer Slaughter.
Summer Slaughter. Is that the one that Asha Vilson runs? Yeah. So that started to become a big thing.
Gigantor.
Yeah. And then you had, I mean, you still had like, well, at that point, the New England Metal Fest was still going, odds and ends.
Yeah.
I'm glad,
but this is only one off. So
yeah. Shout out to Jamie Josta for bringing back the Milwaukee Metal Fest. Now, granted, he picked a shit weekend because it's the same weekend as the Harbor one in Baltimore. So every band was on a plane crossing each other across the country. Why would you do a Memorial Day? But it's kind of cool that he brought that back.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be back next year too. Because it looked like it did really well.
Yeah, it was kind of packed. And I'm just looking here. Yeah, there's a lot of, well, this is a dated website, but there's a lot of people talking about how they were having trouble with attendance. The website was never updated. The lineup, the one guy was like, last year's lineup was subpar at best. There were too many post-hardcore and crappy screamo bands and not enough decent metal bands. They need to think about what they're doing before they do a Goatwhore going on first before all the other bands that almost got booed off the stage was probably a not a wise choice. Oh, yeah, and you're right. And 2008, Summer Slaughter. So let's look and see. Here we go. Summer Slaughter.
I'm gonna assume right here this is all fucking deathcore bands. Born of Osiris. Do you have the lineup? Hold on. Do you have the lineup here?
Yeah.
Let me try to guess some of these.
Okay.
Born of Osiris.
Got it.
Probably. Oh, I can't say Job for a Cowboy because they were on that other tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Born of Osiris. Like As Blood Runs Black.
Nope.
No. I wrestled a bear once.
No.
Damn. Shit. I thought I was gonna nail this. Go ahead.
So it was Black Dahlia Murders, the headliner.
Okay.
Which I think turns into Majesty, the live album. Cataclysm.
Oh, okay.
Vader.
Oh, okay.
Cryptopsy.
Oh, so this, okay. I was way wrong on this. All right.
It's just a couple years off. The Faceless.
Ooh.
Despised Icon.
Mm-hmm.
Aborted.
Ooh.
Born of Osiris. Psychroptic. Whitechapel.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right, it's all deathcore. The next year is, so listen to this. In 2008, they had a different lineup for Canada. I would have went to this show. Necrophagist is the headliner. Brutal Truth, Dying Fetus, Neuraxis, Whitechapel, Veil of Maya, Beneath the Massacre.
Wow.
Jesus, you just get your face pummeled in, right? 2008, Europe. So you were on to something, Tim. Suicide Silence is the headliner. Supporters were As Blood Runs Black, Born of Osiris, Abigail Williams, Annotations of an Autopsy, and my favorite Australian death metal band, The Berserker.
Oh, I forgot they were from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Berserker was fucking wild, dude.
Yo, the fucking videos, they were the first band to play with masks. And I just remember watching it on MTV and going, yo, what is this?
Yeah, they were wild.
What is this? And then the Summer Slaughter is now, you have the Rockstar Mayhem tour, which is kind of like kind of cheesy. And then 2009, Summer Slaughter, we have Necrophagist, Suffocation, and Behemoth as the headliners. And then you've got Darkest Hour, Winds of Plague, Dying Fetus, Born of Osiris, Origin, After the Burial, Beneath the Massacre, Blackguard, Decrepit Birth, and Ein Sephirim.
Ooh.
That's a good one. That's a monster.
Yeah,
monster lineup. Where did they play in Philly? They played. They did not play in Philly.
No,
wait, they did. They played the TLA. They played the TLA.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
You would think that would be like a festival pier or like a.
Dude, the first year they played the Troc, I think.
Damn.
The first year, where is it?
How do you pack that many people in the fucking Troc?
No, the first year was 2007. We didn't even talk about this year. Okay, so let's talk about who plays 2007. The headliner is Necrophagist. We've got Decapitated, Cephalic Carnage, Cattle Decapitation,
Oh,
The Faceless,
oh,
As Blood Runs Black,
okay.
Arsis,
Wow.
Ion Dissonance, and Beneath the Massacre.
That is a fucking sick tour.
Yeah, it is. They played they didn't Allen. We're in Allentown. Crocodile Rock.
Shit venue.
Which was the Infest Festival. Yep. But yeah, and then in 2008 they played the Troc. 2009 in Philly was the TLA. And then I think TLA in 2010, TLA in 2011, TLA in 2012. Oh, back to the Troc in 2012. So once you go back from the TLA to the Troc, it's like, okay, got to get ready.
Times are an ending.
We got to get ready to pack it in here, folks. They played the Troc again in 2013.
Damn.
Which, I mean, 2013, listen to this lineup. Summer Slaughter 2013. Dillinger, Animals as Leaders, Periphery, Norma Jean, Cattle Decap, The Ocean, Revocation, Aeon, Rings of Saturn, and Die Artist Murder.
Damn.
That's a pretty good lineup, dude.
Yeah, these lineups are great.
14, where did they play in 14? The Troc. And then 15. What was the year that I
this
saw?
ran long as shit.
Yeah, it did. It did. I saw it for the last time in. Oh, you know what? I did. It wasn't Summer Slaughter. It was the other tour that I saw. It was the one with Origin, Crisian. It was a different touring package that they do every summer. Oh, Decimation on the Nation.
There you go. Devastation one.
Devastation. There we go. I knew it began with a D.
Damn, I forgot about that one too.
Well,
I mean, we'll just turn this episode into summer touring packages.
Yeah, right. But I mean, what we're poking at here is a good thing. Too many people started doing a good thing. It's, it's free market, it's the way it works. So you had too many bookers, agents putting together too many different tours and shows, and the summer got too congested, and it kind of has petered out. Now, what do we have in the summers? You don't have any big tours like this in the summer anymore. You've got festivals. You've got Aftershock, you've got Blue Ridge, you've got the one that's down in Florida to really kick things off in May. Now you've got all that stuff in Vegas. You've got Psycho Las Vegas, When We Were Young, Sick New World. You've got This Is Hardcore. You've got Sound and Fury. So
LDB.
Yeah, now you got all the Midwest Fest, LDB, Flyover Fest. I mean, it's kind of cool. All right, Tim, I think we have beaten this bad boy to death.
Yeah, man.
All right. So I hope everybody is still with us. Enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for tuning in, watching, listening. New Breed _podcast at both Twitter and Instagram, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook group. You should hop in, join the conversation there. And lastly, if you want to call in and leave us a voicemail, you like this, you didn't like this, you want to heckle, you want to make fun of my shirt, you want to make fun of the fucking birds because Tim's wearing a bird shirt, that's fine. The number is 267-297-4627, and we will play these on air. So yes. Tim and I want to thank you for tuning in, listening, watching once again. And until next week, this is a New Breed podcast saying peace.
Cheers, and thanks for listening to me sneeze later.